Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of I Cast Fireball, an actual play 5e D&D adventure where we go through the campaign Tyranny of Dragons. I'm Thomas, your DM for this adventure, and around the table we have...
Malamara.
Lance Thalen.
Fleeple.
And Ralph.
Yes, we've got the whole gang here. Let's recap where we are at in this crazy, chaotic, climactic moment. Boy, did a lot happen last session, but in a very short time frame. There was barely 2 full rounds of combat completed by the time we finished. I believe it was 2 rounds of combat. We were beginning the 3rd round with Ralph.
It feels like more happened than that.
Well, Ralph was giving a foot massage to Resmir, and that's where we began. And then we continued forward with Lance impersonating Mondeath, confusing Ralph, and that cascaded a sequence of events that caused Ralph to uncover the magic treasure chest where the black dragon mask was being encased and held in. Shoved it in his bag of holding.
Risking the entire campaign.
Fleeple came in, rolled in, act like a grunt now that he has wings as a winged kobold, pointed to Ralph, and called him the traitor. So everybody turned on him. The bag of holding was flying across the room, away from Rathmodar, the Thay wizard, with Zaza puffing out of existence due to an attack of opportunity. Ralph literally dodging, weaving back and forth, going to the cracking window in the back, where the Jhank Squad finally all converged on him, quite literally pinning him to the ground, with the final revelation of Ralph opening his chest, revealing the tattoo of the winged snake eating the ball, that the same symbol they found in Greenest when Rathmodar, the Thay wizard, cast Fireball at the entire party. And that is where we jump in to this week's adventure. So, all of you, Fireball has just been cast. You all take 120 points of damage.
No.
Cool. It's been a fun campaign,
Evasion.
everybody.
Just kidding. My wife made me promise that I would do that.
It's been great hanging out with you guys.
And that's I Cast Fireball.
Definitely completely dead.
Yeah. Now Jacob and I both get to bring out our bards.
Yeah. Just the bard team.
You cast Fireball, and that's the end of the campaign.
With no connection to the previous party whatsoever.
We just find the charred remains.
No, your guys, the rest of this campaign is those little kids that you made pee their pants.
We become the coldest kids.
They're the ones that become the heroes.
Oh my gosh.
Yep, that's how it all began.
Oh my gosh.
We should form our own adventuring party.
If you want a one-shot with those 3 punks, at us at ICastFireball20, and we'll see if they run into some shenanigans in Neverwinter here. I'm going to start rolling damage for this Fireball here.
It's going to take a little bit of time.
We have to roll for dexterity save, I imagine.
Yes, you do. You all have to roll a dexterity saving throw. And Ralph, because you're prone, I believe you have disadvantage on the dexterity saving throw. Am I making that up?
Yes.
I am making it up.
No. Sorry, give me un moment.
So a prone creature has disadvantage on attack rolls, and attack rolls against them have disadvantage. Nothing about dex saves.
Okay, then you're good.
Okay. All right. Sorry. I have a spell list and stuff, so I was just making sure because I was just gonna check to see if there's anything I had that could save me as a reaction.
Do you have counterspell?
I have 1 counterspell. It's my last 3rd level spell slot. You attempt to interrupt a creature in the process of casting a spell. If the creature is casting a spell of 3rd level or lower, the spell fails and has no effect. If it's casting at a spell of 4th level or higher, I make a spell casting ability check with the DC equals 10 plus the spell's level. So yeah, I counterspell.
Ralph, you see this fireball. He goes, I cast Fireball. it starts to build and grow, and you see the ball of flame massively growing. And the Jhank Squad, you've only seen it once before as Malamara cast it previously. And just at that moment, Ralph, you look up.
Wheel Jeremy.
You wheeled Jeremy up, point it, and Jeremy goes, "Counter spell!" And the fire disappears.
Ha 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 ha! It worked.
Wrath is furious. He is seething as he is floating 15 feet in the air. Him and Rezmir floating with their fly spell. His face is very taut, and the tattoos on his face are very distinct and almost pulsing like it were part of his heartbeat. And you can see a vein start to bulge at his forehead there. He is livid. And with that, he is going to spend some sorcery points, and he is going to cast Fire Bolt at you. He knows he has disadvantage, but he is furious right now. Your AC is at 19 right now, correct?
My AC, yes, my Blade Song is still active, and so my AC is 19.
As you fall backward, you see this secondary firebolt come straight at you. And without even thinking, and almost of his own accord, Jeremy swipes the air directly when the firebolt would have hit you, and cuts it in half, and it dissipates mid-air. His the firebolt not being successfully hitting you. So
I look at Jeremy and I go, "I'm gonna get you a beautiful sheath if we survive this."
that is Wrath Modar's turn, and he is not pleased. Fleeple, it is your turn.
I am still a horse.
That's right.
Of course.
Yes. So I look at Wrath Modar, who almost just killed everybody. I look at the window behind Lance and Ralph, already having taken some damage from Lance's attempt.
You can see some holes have been burned by the acid from Rezmir, and so you can actually hear some of the gusting wind whistling through these holes into the room itself.
I look down at Ralph and Lance, and I attempt to wink at them. I don't know if horses can wink, but I attempt to. And I'm going to rear up just a little bit and gallop forward, and I'm going to try and shove the couch that they're on out the window so that we can get away from this guy.
Couch surfing!
Whoa! The chaos continues! All right.
The jankiest of squads.
The jankiest.
The jankiest squads. Meanwhile, like, as Ralph and Lance are thinking, did that horse just wink at me?
Well, and we're all
Shoved on a
kind of
couch.
on the couch.
Yeah, Mal's there too.
Yeah. Mal's the only one not on the couch, I would say, just because
I was standing next to it, yeah.
you're standing next to it threatening Ralph. Okay, this is going to be a pretty hefty athletics roll. It's going to be a little bit difficult, and depending on what you roll, you might get a partial success, you might get a failure. So why don't you go and roll in athletics and show me what you got.
Yep, that is going to be a 13.
Do you have inspiration?
I do not have inspiration.
I have inspiration. Do you
She
want
has
inspiration?
an inspiration die.
If you want to give it to me, I think that'd be awesome.
I think shoving this couch through the window is a worthwhile use of that.
Booyah. That's a critical fail.
This game is so chaotic!
Oh man! The second attempt to get through this window, Ralph being the first, not quite being able to shove his way through. The second being Fleeple as this horse trying to shove the couch through the window with his party on it. Unfortunately, you get it up and you're about to shove it through, but it teeters with the weight of Lance on one side and Ralph laying on the other, and it clatters back to the ground, unfortunately, the window not having been disturbed, the window not being broken quite yet. And with that, Rezmir turns to Wrath, and Rezmir goes, "You fool, they're trying to get away! Do something!" And Fleeple, that was only your action, I believe.
That it was. I'm going to look over at that, be like, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. I'm going to rear back a little bit, and I'm just going to use my full movement to try and jump through the window.
All right. So you back up a little bit. Ralph can technically take an attack of opportunity if he desired, but...
I can't. I already used my reaction.
There we go. So he can't even do that. And so Fleeple, you get a 10-foot running start. And because Zelda's been on my mind, because of the Nintendo Direct, you with a running start like in Ocarina of Time, you jump over the couch and head first, and there's enough damage here, and you have enough strength to where you soar through the window, shattering it. A pretty decent hole, and you jump out into open air, and there is a significant drop below you, but you can see as you jump in the air the water way down below, the rocks of the cliff face that you are now plummeting from and next to.
Just him, right?
Just him.
So it's a cliff face outside the window. It's not ground.
Yeah, it's a cliff face. This casino, if you recall previous episodes, was built into the rock. It's into the stonework itself, and this window looked out over the ocean. It was a magnificent ocean view.
So if we fall out the window, we're falling into the ocean. Potentially.
So, Fleeple, you have a bonus action left. Anything else?
Well, I'm a horse, so
State it again.
Of course.
if anything else, I could use these extra 13 hit points to cushion my fall. How far am I falling, Thomas?
Now, I looked this up, and maybe I was looking in the wrong place, but do you fall on the same turn as... You know what? Regardless, I think you're going to start falling next turn.
Okay. I will remain suspended here in the air.
Very Looney Tunes. You look back, your eyes... But you are going to fall on your next turn there.
Is it every round in a game is 6 seconds?
Yes, every round is 6 seconds. So, Fleeple, that's your go. Lance, it is your go. Fleeple just jumped over you, and the glass shattering outward. What do you do?
All right, well, you never looked a gift horse in the mouth, so I'm going to look at the situation, and drawing inspiration from the beginning of this campaign, when Lance would occasionally quote movies, he will reach out his hand toward Ralph and just says, "Come with me if you want to live."
Do you trust me?
Yeah, I could have gone Aladdin with it. I could have gone with Aladdin, but I felt like I already knew the answer to that one.
Yeah.
Well, he was the one who called for a truce.
He
That's
was.
true. Okay.
And I'm reaching out my hand now.
All right. I'll leap into his arms.
All right. Lance will, with his great strength of a +1, lift Ralph, basically almost fireman style, and step onto the window pane and just fall backward.
Very good. Very good. All right. Anything else on your turn?
Just as he's falling, he'll just, look at Malamara as he's falling and just go, "See you at the bottom."
Can I yell, "Your feet are gross"?
I can't believe these guys all abandoned Mal in a room with enemies
Twice.
in the past 10 minutes.
The elemental cries out, "Hey, come on!" Mal, it's Rezmir's turn.
Yes, it is.
She is panicking as she sees the rest of this party go, and she has a flight speed. So she has a flight speed of 30. She's going to try and go over you. So that's 5, 10, 15, 20. She can get just to Lance and Ralph. she's going to ignore you because she is trying to go for that bag of holding, and she is going to grab that bag of holding specifically.
As she flies out the window, do I get an attack of opportunity?
You do. She is not caring what happens. She's not thinking about her own safety right now. That bag is the only thing that matters.
That was a 25 to hit.
Yeah, it's a hit.
By the way, Tom, this is the fly spell?
Yes.
That's a 60-foot speed.
So she definitely gets there.
50 points of slashing damage with that sword.
5-0?
No. 1-5.
I thought you said 50. Oh, I thought you said 50, and I was like,
50.
I thought it was 52.
what the?
Finish.
Will you let us have 50?
Air 2 just really beefed that up for me.
All of a sudden, you just feel like this massive fire just burn through your veins. No. 15.
1-5.
She is slashed across her purple robe, and it gets cut across her chest, but she continues on, and she goes to grab this bag. And so, Ralph, she is going to try to grapple with you here. So we're going to do an opposed grapple check, but specifically on the bag. I will say in this instance, if she succeeds, she can rip it from your hands
and just
freely.
fly up, and we'll go down.
And just fly away, yeah.
Crap.
All right.
So for you, it's athletics or acrobatics.
Do I still have some inspiration?
You've got a D4. You've got a D4 from Fleeple still.
Right.
And I'm trying to remember, while you're blade singing, don't you have advantage on your acrobatics checks?
You're right, I do. Good looking out. Okay, I rolled a 7 for that first one, but because of the blade song, I rolled an 18.
Yes.
Plus, that's plus 5,
Plus a D4.
plus 1. 24.
Well, that beats her 13.
Yeah.
And that was her action to do so. So,
We are literally fighting in the middle of
This
a
is
fall.
like Gandalf and
This
the
is
Balrog.
Gandalf and the Balrog.
it's not quite as cool as this moment I'm about to describe, but I'm obsessed with the Stormlight Archives by Brandon Sanderson, and so Kaladin fighting in the air as well.
Yes.
Yeah, that's assassin.
I like to think I'm avoiding her by crawling all over Lance.
Like, who's still Mondath, by the way.
I'm just scrambling all around in my foot in his face, just avoiding her.
Yep, absolutely. Okay. Well, there's that. And her turn is over, but in her fury, in her rage, she's going to do something she hasn't needed to until this point of the battle, and she's going to take a legendary action.
Oh, no. I was going to say she asks for help.
And Ralph, she's going right to you. She's going to attack you.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if she had one of those legendary, I just succeed on an ability check.
No,
I know some of them have those.
that legendary resistance, if she had that, it would just be for a saving throw specifically. So, but she's going to attack you. She is livid. She's furious. And if she can't have this, that she's tried grabbing you, so the only thing she can see is eliminating any obstacle in her path. And so she attempts to do so with her attack.
Very fair. Pretty much a flick will get me at this point.
But she still has to hit you.
The dice are in your favor. She rolled a 17.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
Which does not beat your 19 as she goes for you again. Jeremy, of a mind of its own, goes, I'm going to earn that scabbard. Just and blocks as she brings her massive greatsword down on you. And so of its own volition blocks it. She screams and rages and yells into the air as all of you are suspended in this temporary moment. That is her turn, her legendary turn, and it is now Malamara's turn.
Well, knowing that Rezmir flew out the window and everybody else is plummeting out the window, Mal will reach around her neck and pull out her necklace. And along this piece of leather are several different pieces of animals she has taken down, and one of them is a bear claw. And she'll grab that bear claw and enter a rage and take on the aspect of the bear. Which is, while raging, they have resistance to all damage, except for psychic. And she'll step up to the window and using that bear strength will push herself down to try and get a faster angle at them all falling and try and grapple Rezmir mid-air and try and hold on to her as they fall.
What is happening?
Oh my gosh.
I was like, of course, a bear for the flight purposes.
As we all know,
falling.
bears love a challenge midair.
That is such a beautiful image
So
of
epic.
Mal like running, prepping herself, and then as she's like, I imagine her like standing, and then as she's like accepting gravity to take her over at the last second, she crouches, and then her feet just like engorge with her rage, and just very like puff of wind
So
gets
anime.
left behind as she, very anime style, just boom, right to Rezmir, and she's going to grapple onto Rezmir. You have advantage on the grapple, miss, because you are in a rage, and she is going to try and toss you off here with acrobatics or athletics, so let us roll. And you have a d4 as well.
That was a 19 plus 5 for athletics and a 3 on the dice.
Bam!
So 27.
For a 27.
She's a bear in spirit. She can't physically change like Fleeple.
Rezmir got a 21.
Oh, that was still really good for Rezmir.
And so as you're falling, and it's very quick, it's like within almost a millisecond you hear you're falling, and then bam, you just fumble into her. I'll say she goes tumbling away from Ralph and Lance. No attack of opportunity because it was forced movement there, but Mal, you have moved her 15 feet with your momentum further away and down, and before her flight kicks into gear and catches her. Fleeple, you're a horse during this
I'm
whole
a horse.
situation.
I'm doing a Crunch Squad thing. I looked up grapple, and it says a creature's speed is reduced to 0. So she's plummeting now with no control.
That is a good call out, Jakob. Let us look at fly. So Ned, my question to you, Mr. Crunch Squad, is flight consider movement?
So a flying speed is speed, and if your speed is reduced to 0, then you can't fly.
This black half dragon, this leader of part of the cult of the dragon, furious, eager to try to get this bag back. You see true terror in her eyes as this is gone, and Mal uses that to her advantage, grabs her, and prohibits Rezmir from moving, from going anywhere, and Rezmir starts to plummet with the rest of the party here. Wow. That
Is that one round?
This is the end of the third round. This is the end of the third round here, and Ralph, we are to you now.
All right. I have Featherfall.
I was hoping you were going to say that.
I can choose up to 5 falling creatures, and if we hit the ground, none of us will take fall damage. So I guess my question would be, should I prepare that? It is a reaction, so with the start of, I could do an action, and then just with the start of a new round, it would just be readied for when we hit the ground,
Yeah,
I suppose.
when we're that close to the ground, we'll...
I just
Except
don't know
for
how
Rezmir.
close we are to the ground.
So I've been giving everybody typically 1 round before they start to plummet. Ralph, this would be your 1 round before you start to plummet. So after this, it's going to go to Fleeple, who will plummet, possibly to the ground after this. So yes, you can do a reaction, at the very least, at the end of your turn.
Do we know how far up we are?
I'll just tell you, you're about anywhere between 200 to 250 feet in the air.
Oh my
That's more than I
gosh.
was expecting.
Yeah, that was way farther than I was expecting.
How many feet is terminal velocity for a humanoid?
I did look this up, and Jeremy Crawford says you fall about 500 to 600 feet per round.
So we will hit the ground next round.
And
All right.
falling damage maxes out at 20d6. So that's where we are regardless.
Oh, easy. But we're hitting water.
Yeah, that's concrete at that height.
We'll just sploosh right in.
Everybody were basically gods.
Josh, the human being that likes all of you guys and is really glad that I'm here, just wants to apologize in advance. Ralph is going to see if he can pilfer that tooth while he's hanging on to
Yeah!
I would just like to do one more sleight of hand.
The truce, bud.
Hidden agenda!
Just one more. Just real quick. I'm going to save us all from dying. Hitting the ground really hard.
What did we roll last time? I rolled something, didn't I?
I believe it was a deck save, wasn't it? Well, Ralph, go ahead and roll a sleight of hand and try and grab that.
19.
And you get that D4 roll again.
But I get it too.
To 22.
And I'm rolling a deck save against it.
I believe we did a deck save, as Ralph is rummaging through your pockets.
Trying to be sneaky about it.
Okay, in midair.
Sleight of hand. So, well, if you don't succeed, Lance, then it will be a sleight of hand check.
I got 19.
19. Okay. As you're falling, if there wasn't chaos last episode, there's even more so chaos, and you are in a chaotic moment. And Ralph, seeing one more opportunity, decides to try and go one more time for this tooth. He goes in with his sleight of hand, as he described, crawling all over you to try and like dodge away, try to get out, and like trying to position himself before you guys start plummeting to the ground. And he's preparing himself to cast Featherfall on all of you. He slides right into that spot. And Lance, you do not feel him in this chaotic moment. Out of this chaotic moment, probably. But you do not feel him gently grab that tooth, pull it, put it in his pocket.
And then I'm out loud. I'm going to be talking to the sword while this is happening, just to kind of create an extra distraction. And just be like, it's going to have gemstones. It'll be engraved with your name. It's the best sheath you'll ever see. Just Featherfall, okay? We just need a Featherfall.
I will do anything for you, Ralph, for I am Jeremy.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Jeremy!
Don't make me regret this.
So much for the truce.
So for our listeners here, Mickey is requesting to not be a part of the Featherfall.
It's definitely willing. It would be like 5.
It doesn't technically say willing. I looked it up to see if
really?
she could just reject it, and it doesn't say willing. It says you choose up to 5.
So with him getting ready for Featherfall, you scream above the howling wind as you fall, and you say, "Leave me!" to Ralph, and Ralph has that decision to do whatever he wants with.
Yeah, that's great. I don't want to accidentally Featherfall Resmir anyway. And since the two of you are kind of together.
All right, Ralph, that is your turn, I believe, correct?
Correct.
We now go to Wrath Modar.
Oh yeah, we all left him up there.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's just chilling.
Is he just going to go and hang out with the water elemental? They can both bemoan the fact that they just got...
Like, this isn't really my fight.
He's going to fly out, and as he sees Resmir fall, Resmir calls out to him, "You fool! Save me! Save me!" And he brings up his finger, cocks his head, and he pulls it back.
Oh,
And
the betrayal.
instead, he flies upwards and out and away from the rest of you. And Resmir is screaming, "Traitor! Traitor, you will rue the day!" Just yelling at the top of her lungs. And Mal, this woman, she is trying to break your grip with everything she has, but she can't. She cannot pull away. She cannot release her grip because you are firm. You are giving her, forgive the pun, a bear hug of great proportions, and she cannot escape. And Wrath Modar, he disappears from view, flying back to Neverwinter.
So here's the thing. Does he fly away? What's the flying speed on this individual right now?
So he has 60, and he's going to use his double movement to go 120 feet away from you. I'll say about, 5, 10, 15, 20, about 100 feet away from you, because he had to get 20 feet to get out of the room to the outside portion.
Would he have technically disengaged? Is he trying to get away fast, or is he just trying to get out of the fight?
He's saying, this is wrapped up. I'm gone. I'm flying away.
Okay, I'm going to use my bonus action to pop out of my horse form, and centered over where Rathmodar is, way up there in the sky, I'm going to moonbeam him.
Yeah!
120-foot range.
Oh my gosh.
It's nighttime too, isn't it?
It's the perfect time for the moonbeam.
It's a little bit, yeah. It's a little bit.
I can't
of
remember
night.
what time of day it is.
It's like cresting down into a nighttime.
And you know what? I'm going to cast that at 4th level because I really want this person to take the hurt.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. My goodness. Now, here's the big question, Ned. Crunch Squad. Does the moonbeam dissipate if you fall 120 feet away from where you cast it? Because you are going to fall.
Yeah, so I choose a spot within range, a 40-foot high cylinder, 5-foot radius, center on a point within range. Until the spell ends, dim light fills the cylinder. When a creature enters the spell for the first time or starts its turn there, is engulfed in ghostly flames.
But it stays there even if you go out of
It
range.
doesn't say anything about you
Yes.
moving out of the range.
Because we've moved out of the range before and it doesn't go away.
Yep, and then on my turns after I cast the spell, I can use an action to move the beam up to 60 feet in any direction.
So it doesn't follow you. You choose it to move.
Correct.
That'll be 3d10, right?
Well, you cast it at 4th level.
So that would be 5d10.
Woof.
No, that would be 4d10.
I've never considered that about casting range, whether it's just the range of where you can cast it, or if that's as far as the spell can exist.
Well, there are spells that when you, like Witch Bolts, if you move away, if they move out of that range, the spell dissipates. It specifically says in the spell.
Because Witch Bolt is a tether between you and them, specifically. That tether as of... Okay, well then that's actually... Okay, that helps further solidify that decision then. That moonbeam remains here. Okay, this is great. So, as you pop out of existence, Fleeple, slow motion, right before you fall, you point. You see the moon cresting above over the horizon. You close your eyes, and it's like you're pulling it towards you. And you pull it, and as you do, all of you hear this moonbeam is different than when Fleeple has cast it previously. Specifically, 1, it's outside, and 2, it has an angelic, radiant cleric behind it, as Fleeple now uses his clerical might to call down this moonbeam on this wizard. And it's as he's like spinning in the air, the camera pauses on him as he closes his eyes, points, and mid-spin he just yanks down the moon, and this beam just starts pelting this wizard before Fleeple takes a breath, exhales, and then starts to plummet completely down to the ocean floor.
I have wings. I'm going to fly.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he has wings! He has
You
wings!
gave him those, Thomas. You gave him those.
And using the clerical abilities that Bahamut has given him, his wings outstretch, and he opens wide, and he puffs his chest to this majestic sight. And you see the wings, actually, while he is casting in this clerical spell that he has cast, or at least being fueled by his devotion to Bahamut, it's almost as if the wings are lined with platinum as they shine in the moonlight and glisten across the majestic view of the ocean. Fleeple maintaining concentration, confident in this moment.
That's how you make a kobold cool.
Yeah. He doesn't take, the wizard does not take damage right now, correct?
Yeah, so when it enters the area or starts the turn there, it's going to be a DC 16 Constitution saving throw.
Okay. So he's going to take that on his next turn. And he looks back to you, Fleeple, and he starts to like panic a little bit, realizing he's caught and something bad could potentially happen here. Well done. Okay, then we jump down to Lance, and Lance, in this chaos, seeing Fleeple mid-air, Ralph getting ready to cast Featherfall, you start to plummet to the ground until Ralph decides to cast it.
I really like the idea that Fleeple like just paused in midair, and then the two of us go, yeah, all that majesty, and then the
Oh my gosh. Well, I am holding on to Ralph with one of my arms as I, fell with him, but I have another arm free. And with that other arm free, just to make sure whatever might happen at the bottom ends this thing, I will use my bracer of the flying daggers and shoot 2 out toward Rezmir, who is 15 feet away. And if I hit, I get sneak attack because Mal is right there.
Do.
So I roll for both daggers.
Falling sneak attack.
One is, I get a plus. This is just a regular dagger throw, kind of.
This might be the crunchiest combat I've ever been part of.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I'm not the
That's
dungeon master.
14 for the first one.
So 14 to hit. Did you add that D4 from
I did,
his emboldened? Okay. And that's the only time you can do it for this turn right now.
Yeah, 14. Does that hit?
14? That's a hit.
Oh my gosh. And I'll just roll the second one right now.
She's got an AC of 13.
And the second one's 13.
Both hit.
Oh my gosh. So only one of them gets sneak attack. So the first one will get sneak attack.
Yes.
So I will, that is going to be 4d6.
I love how we were like, let's not just fight these people, let's get it into the weirdest possible situation and then fight these people.
Thomas, you're doing a wonderful job bobbing and weaving, DMing this craziness.
I am just riding a high right now. Riding a high.
The first one, it was a terrible roll. The first one with the sneak attack and everything is 14.
14? Okay, 14 points of damage to her.
But the second attack then is just a d4, and I guess I add my attack modifier to that one, but I just don't add obviously the d6.
Yes, because it's the magic attack.
Yeah.
Yes, so 14.
Oh, that's great. 4 plus 4 is 8 for the second.
8. Rezmir, the daggers cut into her, and she's continually trying to thrash out of Malamara's grip. She has taken some damage. Is it enough to take her out? We will see.
And I'm just with my other arm, I'm just holding on to Ralph.
Okay. And you start to plummet, literally, past Fleeple, past Mal, until Ralph casts it. I assume for your own safety, Ralph, you're going to cast it before you hit the ground because Lance is taking you all the way down. Where do you cast it, though? Immediately? Right by the water?
It says, so with the spell, it's you're falling, I think it says you slow to 60 feet per round. And so I think I would just say, like, once I feel like we're close, it's more just like I'm readying it to the point where the ground seems big.
With that, if you
Sounds
cast
good.
it under 60 feet, do you still take fall damage then?
No, the spell itself, if you cast the spell, you don't take fall damage, period.
The 60 feet is only if you're like really high and you're gliding down.
It's the 60 feet per round. So it's like we're not at terminal velocity.
Because it's only for a minute, right?
Yes.
So, okay.
Yeah. It's like either Mary Poppins or Harry Potter 4 when they're coming out of the port key and the people who are experienced are like walking down and floating to the ground instead of just splatting on the ground. Okay, so you pass by Rezmir, you pass by Mal, you pass by Fleeple. Fleeple, you see them fall, but in an instant, they start to slow drastically and you fall. Do you want to hit the water this round, Ralph, or do you want to hit it on a future round? It's just up to you, because you choose when it gets cast.
Are there like rocky outcroppings?
As you get close, as you look down and it's coming at you fast, I'll just give you a free perception check. Why don't you go ahead and just roll a perception check for free?
I'm very perceptive. 5.
The wind is blinding your eyes right now, and you have tears in your eyes, and your mouth is like pushed back because of the air, and you're like,
Featherfall!
Featherfall!
yells Jeremy to the expanse. So, what was your intention, though? Do you want to hit the water this turn or a future turn?
This turn's great.
Great, sounds good. So you wait, and you hit the water this round. No damage taken, but Lance and Ralph, It is icy cold, and we'll get to you on Ralph's turn. So, it is now Rezmir's turn. And Rezmir is completely in your arms, Mal, and so she is going to fall. We'll just say both of you fall right now on her turn into the icy depths.
She doesn't get an action to try and escape?
That's a good point. Sorry. Yeah, let's try one more time to escape. She's going to try and break free, and if she does, she has flight. So she's going to do whatever she can. Here we go.
Well, I got a natural 20 with a +5 plus a 4 on the thing, so it's 29.
She got a 19. So you succeeded to pass her +10. You've got her, and like you're wrapping one leg around her to get her and like just dig her into you and just saying, we're going down together.
Bet that half dragon really wishes she was a full dragon right now with some wings.
Both of you plummet.
And on my turn, I'm just going to try and make it so that she hits the water first. Not that that will change any of my damage,
You
but
land
just like
on
drive
her?
her into it. Yeah.
With that success of a +10, though, you can definitely maneuver her at the last second and just like drive her into the water. That's 20d6.
That's insane.
Malamara, don't you dare die.
Just both feet right on Rezmir's gut, just pile driving straight down to the ground.
That's like a Mortal Kombat finishing
You
move.
get half damage.
Correct. Because I have resistance to bludgeoning.
That's 56 points of bludgeoning damage. Halved for Mal.
So that's 23. No, doing my math wrong.
Yep.
26.
56 divided by 2 is
28.
23. 28.
Oh, yeah,
Yes,
'cause
I can do
28.
math, too.
We're doing math. Yeah, Thomas, what's your degree in?
Thomas, did you have a degree in that?
No, I shouldn't, actually. So, as you plummet to the ground, Mal, tell us how it is done. Time freezes for you. You are at peace, you're at zen, and you feel your muscles bulging as you fall.
With that, specifically the bear rage pulsing through her, unlike Fleeple, who keeps his wits about him when he becomes animals, that blind rage just really overtakes her. And while she's falling with Rezmir, any sense of empathy or sympathy or really any cognitive ability to care for this other creature completely abandons her. And Air 2's influence just swarms into her, and she feels that inky blackness that always comes over her with Air 2. And as Rezmir is staring back at her face, all she sees is Malamar's face becomes a mask of Air 2, and those blinding, fiery red demon eyes is the last thing she sees as she hits the water.
And in that last final moment right before you hit, you say something, but you don't say it. You channel something, and you are a vessel for these words that come out.
Witness my champion.
And your hand grabs her face, but it's a claw, and it's bony, it's a claw, it's long, and it's elongated. As you hit the ground, you smash her into the water as her eyes is just terror. And you go black for a second, Malamara. How could you not? But we're gonna leave you right there with Rezmir.
Oh,
With what's left.
That's what's left of Rezmir. We are going to go a little bit out of order here, and we're going to go right to Rathmodar as he tries to, as he wasn't prepared for this counter. He couldn't counterspell. He was 60 feet. It was more than 60 feet away. He's now in this moonbeam. What does he have to roll?
DC 16 con save. I'm guessing that the wizard does not have a high constitution.
Natural 1.
Woof.
Okay, so that's going to be 4d10 radiant damage.
this was a mistake.
I should have gone back in the window.
Not like this.
That is going to be 30 radiant damage.
His exact hit points are 30 hit points. I'm not joking.
Oh,
You can't make this stuff up, folks. You cannot make this stuff up. If the dice were not telling a story tonight, Fleeple, in direct contrast with Malamar's experience, you tell us how it is done.
I look up towards this red wizard. I call down the moonbeam from above. And as I see the platinum light shining from my wings, I give a little smile and I say, Bahamut Jothrasfim Klax, Loerchik its Bensvelk Vrak, which means, Bahamut, accept this holy offering as penance from a child of holiness. If I can add just like one final bit of flavor, I haven't actually done anything with my turn. That was just his turn. On my turn, I'm going to cast Toll the Dead.
As the moonbeam crushes and starts to sear into this creature, his body becomes immolated in a platinum fire. And he's too far away to see all of the details. But as you utter this phrase to Bahamut, his body just... And then the moonbeam fades on its own, dissipates, as the actual moon is rising over is coming over the horizon and shining upon you, glistening in your platinum-tipped wings. And that is where we're going to end this week's episode of I Cast Fireball.
And I just see
So
see
epic.
Ralph and Lance just in the water, and like they're almost holding each other, like looking up, being like, "Oh."
I'm gonna look over and be like, "Who are you people?"
You know what?
Well, what a ride. I didn't ever think I could DM midair combat. I hope I did it justice. I got to live a little bit of a Sanderson dream of being a windrunner and being a member of Bridge 4.
Do you ever think the Wizards of the Coast hear these podcasts and go, what have we done? What have we created? How are people
Wizards
using
of the
it
Coast,
like
if you're
this?
listening to us,
What hast thou wrought?
thank you. And we wouldn't mind being on Dragon Talk. Anyway, so a huge thank you to all of my players at the table. Ned, Jacob, Mickey, Josh. Thank you so much for joining us here.
Oh my gosh.
With the clutch counter spell, with all the clutch, just everything. When I thought the combat was over, it was a whole nother episode. It was a whole nother adventure. And what a joy it was. Thank you all. And listeners, thank you for, as Ned put it, the crunchiest battle I certainly have ever been in. And probably most people around the table here. What fun. We were adjudicating on the fly, and that's, I apologize if I didn't get rules as written. I'm sure I didn't on most stuff. Probably the fall damage, probably fall everything.
You DM'd
but
it excellently. Anyone who complains can have their own fall off a cliff adventure. That came out way harsher than I intended. That came out
If
really
all of
mean.
you are having a fall off the cliff adventure in your campaign, shoot us an email at icastfireball2020@gmail.com or shoot us a message on all of our Instagram, Twitter, social media feeds, Facebook at icastfireball20. We would love to hear that, and we probably will bring that on. We'll probably shout that out on our podcast here. Thank you for just taking the time to listen to us. Want to give a shout out to our sister podcast, Improv Tabletop, where Ned is an ongoing keeper, which is like a GM or DM through the Avatar Legends tabletop system that was recently released. It is amazing, folks. Go give them a listen. Don't forget to leave them a 5-star review and go check out their Patreon. They have amazing benefits, amazing boosts there, and you can always go back and listen to their 1-year backlog of Fate Accelerated mini 1-month adventures. Don't forget to leave them a 5-star review on the way out. Josh, what do you want to shout out today?
Man, if you're jumping into this adventure just because you know who I am and you're listening to this podcast, I want to shout out the rest of your guys' backlog. This is a great podcast. Go back and listen to everything if you haven't. I'm having an absolute blast. These are some great players.
Well, I will shout out Josh's podcast as well as he shouted out ours on our podcast. Go listen to his ongoing campaign that he's got going on. The Titans of Altera. They are on Twitter at the Titan Pod. They're got amazing. They're in their 3rd season. They got some episodes coming out soon. And of course, can't forget Sneak Attack. They've got 2 seasons worth. The OG D&D Actual Play podcast. Go give them a shout out. Go listen to. Lastly, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with all your friends and fellow wacky adventurers. Until next time, I'm Thomas, your DM, and around the table we've got
Malamara.
Lance Thalen.
Fleeple.
And Ralph.
Let's keep that fire going, everybody, and we'll see you all next time.